All right. I hope this is my first solo.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for joining me today, Al. It's been great to know you these past couple of years. And you are running again for UCP Central Director, Central
Uh,
Alberta.
Correct.
Um,
Yep.
can you tell us a bit about yourself, like where you live, what your vocation is?
Yeah. So basically, I grew up in a farm just southeast of Lacombe, and then when I graduated from high school, I went to NAIT, took building construction technology, and then I worked in the field and got my carpenter's ticket, and then I started the construction company. And then in 1980, basically, Trudeau Senior killed the economy, and I sold my share of the business to my business partner, and figured while I was unemployed, I'd go to university and get my engineering degree. And shortly after I graduated from there, I ended up with working with Imperial Oil on the downstream side of the company for many years. And then eventually I started, my wife and I have our own engineering consulting business today. And we live on an acreage just south of Sherwood Park in Strathcona County. And so that's a little bit of my history. And yeah, that's
That's
short.
great. So you have a lot of experience. Have you had, well, I guess I know the answer to this. Have you had experience serving on any kind of board? We know that you've been on the UCP board. Did you have any others you wanted to add to that?
Well, I started out, so I've been on I guess you would call the president of a board of directors for a women's shelter in Mexico. I'm a founding member of the UCP party, and I started volunteering, and eventually got on our CA board, and eventually got onto the provincial board. So so I've had a lot of experience on board membership, and yeah, it's been good, and yeah.
That's great. Uh, do you work for an Alberta MLA or for the UCP?
Well, I basically am not employed by either. So I basically am a volunteer regional director, and so I don't get paid by anybody.
It's a thankless job, isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't call it thankless, but
Sometimes.
there's
Um,
days you wonder why you're doing it, because there's
it's a big job. Maybe I should have said it's a big job. Are you aware, of course you're aware, of the time commitment that being a board director requires? I should have skipped over that one. You know that very well.
Yep.
Yeah, you know that very well. Central Alberta is a massive area to cover.
Yep.
Uh, do you have, or this is my favorite one. What do you think the role of the UCP board is?
Well, basically, we have to govern or help govern the party so that it works together so that we can win the next election. So basically, in order to win the next election, we have to listen to our people, put governance and policy in places, and honor them so that we are have integrity, and that people will trust us and will vote for the UCP party. And so it's really important that we listen to all of our members, and we operate above board, and make sure that we do an extremely good job of making sure that the members' voices are honored, and that they trust the party and the system that we run under.
Exactly. Do you have ideas on how to strengthen the relationships between the CAs and the provincial board?
We're putting in every year we manage to improve the communications between the provincial board and the CAs. We're it's a slower process than we'd like, but we're providing training modules for the presidents, for the secretaries, CFOs, and the VP of communications, VP of fundraising, and VP of membership. So we're slowly developing modules so that we can train all of our eventually going to be 89 CAs and how to run their own CAs a little bit better. And this, the advances we've made in the last 2 years, I think have been quite substantial compared to what, when I was just a member sitting on the CA board a few years ago. And so I think we're making good progress, but we have a long ways to go. And, but we're at least moving in the right direction.
Excellent. This sort of ties into that. If you wanted to add on to that, what can be done to facilitate the training and orientation of CA executives throughout the province? Do you want to expand on that?
The plan is to create better access and a better website for all of our CA members and our executives, so that they can tap into a module and get the training and as needed. And so this is something we're working on at the provincial board level to make that available. And we've already made some commitments to that. And we just have to we've already started. It just takes a little longer than we'd like sometimes, but it is in the process of being done.
That's great to know, because I know as a director, I sure would have appreciated having that. Do you have ideas regarding how to improve relations between urban and rural ridings? Being in Sherwood Park, you're pretty close to Edmonton, so you kind of straddle it.
Well, here in Strathcona, Sherwood Park, half of our constituents live in Sherwood Park and half of it live in Strathcona County. So we're one of the CAs that gets to deal with both. And I think that fundamentally the issues that all constituents have are the same. It's just that, how we get there is always a little bit different between urban and rural. So we have to have different messaging, for the rural and different messaging for the urban people, even though fundamentally that, it's the same at the core, it's the same message. It just has to be delivered in a different format so they can relate to it and understand it better.
So you, in that CA, I imagine you've had some opportunity to think of maybe what some good ways are to do that. That's great. With a round of legislative candidate nominations around the corner, what are your suggestions for ensuring that the selection process is a fair and transparent one?
Well, one of the things we have to do is make sure that the people that are voting are members in good standing, with our provincial, with our provincial party. So a lot of times people get enthusiastic about selling memberships, and some of these people are not qualified. So we have to do a better job of qualifying, especially memberships that are sold prior to a nomination. So we got to make sure that, and we have to make sure that the nomination process is, so that no one's really given preferential treatment in the nomination process, so that the members get to elect the people that they want. And then we as a provincial board will honor that, and we will not overturn the nominations. And so one of the things that's happening now is prior to a nominee being allowed to run, they have to submit their name and to our own committees, and it has to be something pretty grievous for them not to be allowed to run. I mean, that's pretty clear that we're not going to look for something that somebody did 20 years ago and find some obscure email and penalize them for it or something like that. It has to be pretty grievous, almost to the point where it's borderlines criminal, or they have basically slammed the UCP party in the past.
Sure, yeah. I know that a lot of members are very keen to see that the nomination process is open and fair, because there's some good people who could have been our MLAs right now, except for technicalities and silly things. So I
Mhm.
appreciate that you're very interested in seeing that happen too. Um, this is kind of the big question. Are you in favor of seeing an independence referendum put to Albertans?
I'm definitely in favor of putting forward the referendum on independence. I think that will clear the air on a lot of things, and I think we as a party have to honor the outcome of the referendum and support it whichever way it goes. But whatever the case is, we have to ensure as a party that we always put the interests of Alberta first. And I think that's really clear. It doesn't matter which way the referendum goes. We got to make sure that in our dealings, especially with Ottawa, that we come first. And Alberta has to stand stronger than it has in the past because we're getting currently run over by the overreach of the federal government. And I think most Albertans are getting tired of that. And we got to
We
push
sure
back.
are, aren't we? Yeah. Um, election readiness, and I suppose this might tie into whatever closing comments you would have would be. The provincial election, of course, is in 2027, unless something changes. Um, do you have thoughts to ensure the UCP ensures a victory, especially in the urban areas like Calgary and Edmonton?
Well, one of the things that's going on right now, or a couple things that have gone on right now, is first of all, you know, we feel at the party level that the campaign to, for people to stay in Alberta, like Thomas Lukasiak's his petition, and the recall petitions are basically for a large part data mining for people's memberships, for people to support them. That so that as soon as the election is called, or the writ is dropped, let's say nothing happens and it happens in, elections on schedule for the October 2027. So they will have a list of people that are supporters of them, and immediately that, once the writ's dropped, they can put all these lawn signs on in hopes that sways a lot of people, because that's the one thing. Lawn signs do have a tendency to sway some of the undecided people, but they say, oh yeah, George is, voting for whatever. And so we have, in order to be ready, we have to do the same data collection and do the door knocking and get all that information like they're doing right now, so that when the writ is dropped, we can do the same thing and counter that. And this is going to take a lot of, in my opinion, we got to work hard to make that happen. We can't assume that because, the leader, Daniel Smith is, doing well in the polls, that it's going to do well for us in the election. We got to work hard and make sure that we've got boots on the ground, and that we get all our members, all us conservatives out to vote. I mean, that's the whole key, is to get the people out to vote. Yeah, so that's our main goal, is to get all this information, go door knocking, retrieve all this data, and that way we're ready when the writ is dropped.
Great. Do you have other closing comments?
No, I think the most important thing is that regardless of whether we stand on the referendum and stuff like that, we as conservatives have to pull together and stay together and stay united, because if we start letting our differences get between us, it's going to be devastating for us in the next election. And we don't want to do that, because then the NDP will just walk up the middle. And the last thing we need in Alberta is another NDP government.
You are absolutely right about that. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you again at the AGM.
Well, thank you, and take care.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.